This is an ABP Life podcast.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Bollywood Binge and Beyond on ABP Live podcasts. I'm your host Niharika Nanda, and today I am with someone who is very unique and different in what they do. They are someone who have been a source of a lot of unique information that we know and that we didn't know that we needed. They are the one and the only content creators and YouTubers, Open Letter. Welcome to Bollywood Binge and Beyond.
Thank you so much, Niharika, and thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Thanks for inviting us to your show. Yeah.
It's all my pleasure to have you both here and finally to get to talk to you because अभी तक हमने सिर्फ आपका एक जिसे कहते हैं ना ज्ञानी साइड देखा है and to talk to you on a personal level and to tell my viewers and my audience a little about you is going to be a hell lot of fun, isn't it?
Sure. 100%.
So guys,
Yeah.
tell me this, ये पूरा idea of starting something like this, the Open Letter, ये कैसे start हुआ? And can you tell my audience a little about Open Letter as a whole?
Right. So it started back in 2018,
Okay.
around January.
Hmm.
And back then, the infotainment thing on YouTube is slightly newer right now.
Right.
Since 2020, it has been very prominent. But back then, there were not a lot of individual creators. There was an established like media channels for the dissemination of information, but general public did not have that much, on YouTube, the presence and all.
Mhm.
And so we were actually talking. We were friends back then. Now we're married. So we were actually discussing about why don't we start something like this. And then we thought of an idea of writing open letters to,
Okay.
let's say, the big people, like the politicians, like the actors, or like the prominent personalities, and we started with that. But
I think back then he was always on YouTube, 24/7. He used to stay on top of trends, videos, infotainment, consumption. So I think it was a friend of his who kind of recommended, hey, you're watching so many videos, why don't you just create something and build up something on your own?
Right.
And, I remember discussing this idea one day, and I also thought that, why not give it a shot? And I think, like he mentioned, he started with, an audio. It was mostly an audio, not a series of sorts, but I think one or two videos around open letter to a certain celebrity or a politician.
right.
And of course, back then we did not have a subscriber base, and it was just us watching those videos with a couple of friends that we used to share over on WhatsApp. But
Right.
we felt that if you've started something and we see some merit in it, right, and we should continue doing something like that.
Right.
And I think within like a few months, when we kind of had like around 500 subscribers, then the kick kind of came up that hey, we should continue doing, we should make it
Right.
bigger
Right.
of sorts.
Right.
So yeah.
That is great. And I think
So back then I used to have a phone.
No, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Please
back then I used to have a phone with the earphone, and we just like I used to have the voiceover and put like certain images and videos and edit on the phone itself.
Right.
So that's how it started.
I
Yeah.
think it's amazing. It feels like it has come a full circle. You guys started with an audio, and today you're giving an audio interview. So it seems like it's all around a full circle.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
That's a
Guys,
good point.
tell me this, what's up right now? आजकल क्या चल रहा है?
Ajkal, we have a job. So we both are working professionals.
Right.
I work as a business consultant. She
I work as a marketing expert.
Right.
Okay.
So you can already see, right? The business consultant part is more about research, and the content
Right,
marketing is
exactly.
more about packaging, and like it's like a
Right,
perfect
and
marriage.
being updated with all the trends that are going around.
Right. For sure.
Backed by research.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do
Yeah.
you guys manage like full-time jobs plus massive content coming out on a daily basis? How do you guys manage that?
Right.
And that too on two
Right.
different platforms like YouTube and Instagram both.
All the same.
Yeah, so I was saying that earlier on it was all us, we basically came up with the topics, we researched, we scripted, we edited, and like he mentioned, we had a phone with which he used to record usually. And it was all solo, but then eventually I think as our subscriber base increased with time, we kind of started earning a few revenue that we wanted to invest back into the channel. We
Right.
now have a team, a small team,
Okay.
which we also want to expand going forward, who
Hmm.
helps us with with the research and
Right.
scripting, and also editing our videos. And so
Right.
we think that it's becoming manageable of sorts. We don't have to hustle and grind like we used to, but then now
Right.
that we want to scale it and make it bigger, so that is certainly something that we want to keep on doing.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So it's been quite a topsy-turvy process till now, but it's nice that you guys are expanding because, yeah, honestly, kab
Right.
tak you can, go in that same way. Ultimately, you are going to get burnt out or exhausted and kuch bhi अच्छे से नहीं हो पाएगा. So I think it's
Right.
a great idea to sort of expand into a small team, but at least there is someone to help you guys out.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
So how do you guys come up with these topics? मतलब these are such out of the world things जो कोई imagine भी नहीं कर सकता. Like the floating what do you call it, park on a lake, the Kaibul
Right.
Lamchao Lake, and so much more.
Right.
Like the
Right.
topics that you in general come up with. How do you guys
Right.
think of such things?
Right, right. So let me give you a quick example. So most of the topics that you see on the YouTube channel or on Instagram are things that we generally deal with, right? So let's say there was a topic. So we generally keep talking about things in general, and we think about the questions that we all have, but we might not have the answers. So
Right.
there's this state Haryana, right? Haryana
Hmm.
has a lot of medals. You see in
Right.
Kushti, in boxing, in other sports also, right? Why does that happen? Why does Haryana bring so many medals? Or
Right.
when you talk about IAS officers and you look at the map of India,
Hmm.
Bihar, which does not have a lot of development, which does not do good on GDP per capita, and has been a state with a lot of struggles, has the almost highest number of IAS officers coming from there, right?
Right.
Why does that happen? And Kanpur, which is now essentially people in joke they in movies also they say that Kanpur is like the gutka capital. वहां पे जाके सब लाल कर देते हैं, दीवारें लाल रहती हैं.
Yeah.
Why does
Right.
that happen, right? So we have all of us deal with these sort of questions. We
Right,
just sit
right.
down and think, so why does that happen? And that why, that question brings us to a journey where we explore why does that happen. So for Kanpur, there has been a lot of pan masala manufacturer historically, right? For
Okay.
Bihar, yes. So Kanpur had all of the famous pan masalas that you see that are very, very popular. I don't want to name them, but
Right.
they started from Kanpur, right? For Bihar, there are a lot of factors. Some of them include when you see all around you that there's poverty, when you see there's no business, like in Gujarat, there is business. Every other guy wants to do business. When you see all around you, you see nothing, right? You see there is a government job that gives you security. And for your family to move up the ladder, probably that will be the best bet, which can bring you from, let's say, one tier of society to another tier. And when you see a lot of crime happening, you want to be powerful to stop the crime and to safeguard your family. So all of those factors combined with lack of employment, lack of industrialization, lack of businesses, people see all around me, okay, everybody who I see as a role model is an IAS officer. So that's the first thing they want to try. So these are some of the reasons behind it, and that's how we come up with an idea. And we always discuss. So for instance, back in 2020, I think we were discussing one day, and she said कि यार आजकल oil के prices बढ़ रहे हैं. We were not married back then, so she used to order oil at her PG and all, right? And she used to say यार आजकल तेल के prices बहुत बढ़ रहे हैं. You should think about it. And then
I remember I was not ordering back then, and it was kind of weird for people like us to be ordering, which is like the most basic stuff of the day, and uska price itna zyada बढ़ रहा है, and that has never been in news.
Right. 2-3 महीने में it was like almost double. So we made a video about it. Why does that? And the palm oil prices and everything was behind it. So that's how we come up with these. These are very, very plain and simple
everyday
things.
kind of things जो सबके दिमाग में कभी ना कभी आती है. That's a great
We
way of
just go one
actually
step forward.
putting such questions actually to use, because बहुत बारी people start thinking that these are rhetoric questions, इनका कोई answer as such है नहीं. सब बात करते हैं पेट्रोल के prices बढ़ गए, खाने के prices बढ़ गए, but why? क्या है उसके पीछे का reason? Is something that most of the people are not aware about.
Right. So if you look at the channel banner on YouTube, it says it all
It all
starts
starts
with
with
a
a
question.
question.
So
Right,
that
right.
question is very key for us. We keep
Hmm.
asking a lot of good questions, and that's how we find a lot of topics. And if you see the name Open Letter, right? We
Hmm.
started with an intention, and our idea was we'll write open letters to everybody.
Hmm.
But
Right,
we
right.
very quickly realized it's not
Hmm.
very scalable model.
Hmm.
Like how many
True.
open letters can you write? Right.
Right.
So now what Open Letter has crystallized in a form is that there are two giant problems in our society in general.
Hmm.
One of the problem is there is a lot of echo chambers. Honestly,
Right.
it's tiring on social media. Like
Hmm.
everybody just wants to talk about my side, my side, my side. I don't want to listen to the other side, right?
Right.
So there are a lot of echo chambers.
Hmm.
There's a lack of open perspectives, right? So
Hmm.
that's where the open comes from, right?
Right,
the
right.
the letter essentially is always a very simple things explained
Hmm.
by a friend, right? In simple
Conversation.
Right,
words, very
exactly.
conversational.
Hmm.
And the second problem that letter tackles is the problem of jargons. So when you, let's say, want to, as a layman, you want to understand something, everything
Hmm.
is so complicated. Like for the, I don't know why we don't teach our kids taxation, economics,
Right.
like the basic level thing
Exactly.
in schools,
Yeah.
right? Right. And every time you come across that, it's always so complicated, so jargon filled, like as if it was written in a way that so that you don't get it,
Yeah.
so that
Get
you
it.
have to
Exactly.
get some good
Hmm.
help, right?
Right.
So we want to fight these two things. One is the echo chambers and
Hmm.
the biases. Sometimes we also have biases, right? Internal
True.
biases, how to fight against them. And then how to make things simple, how to make
Simple.
jargon filled things in a
Hmm.
very simple form and explained by a friend. So that's how it's open perspective and as simple as a letter. So Open Letter.
That
And
is
I
a
think,
great
with
idea, I would say. No, please,
social
please.
media penetrate, yeah, I was saying that with social media penetrating, the most random aspects of our lives.
Hmm.
When you just find a buzz on your phone, you receive a notification, you pick up your phone, and then you get consumed by all, just one
Right.
side of the story, because agree to disagree here that,
Hmm.
a lot of, these internet usually they sort of feed our minds with stuff we like to be fed with, right? And so
Right.
if
Right.
you like one particular side of the story, you will again get such headlines, such notifications, and you basically develop
Exactly.
one side of the perspective. And
Hmm.
just how you mentioned that, these echo chambers start building,
Hmm.
and you kind of get surrounded, within the echo chamber, one part of the story could just get circulated from one side to the other.
Consistently.
You can't really
Right.
go out of
Hmm.
it, right? So which is why we want to enable people to reason, to make use of their reason, to build
Hmm.
a rationale which is their own,
Right.
basis so many different perspectives, right? Just not
Right.
one side of the story.
Right.
So that is what we want to achieve.
Right.
Right. I think that's a great idea because, as you said, something as small as a meme or as small as a reel or as small as a short could put you to thinking in one particular direction without actually using your own brain that whether or not this XYZ thing that I'm watching is correct, is wrong, should it be in some other way, is there another side to it? So
Right.
basically, you guys are putting out facts that need to be known, and then people can create an opinion out of it.
That's true. That's I think very perfectly put.
Right.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So I think that's a great concept to work upon because I think there is a saturation जो कि अब आ रही है इस point पर as far as content on any social media site is concerned, because we have hundreds of food bloggers, we have hundreds of fashion bloggers. मतलब, there is no dearth of content out there. But to make something that stands out in itself is a great deal, and kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you so
That
much,
means a lot.
Niharika. Thanks so much for these kind words. Yeah.
No, it is truly, मतलब मैं तो daily basis पे होती हूँ because I deal with a lot of content creators, so it comes
Right.
to my mind a lot of times that यार
Right.
every day a new content creator is being born on Instagram, and what
Right.
to do about it? कितने लोगों को आप follow कर लोगे? And it really
Right.
makes that, essence उसका lose हो जाता है of being an
Correct.
influencer per se.
Correct.
I think I saw a reel today. It said that, back in 1980s, everybody wanted to be an astronaut.
Hmm.
And today, everybody wants to be a content creator.
Exactly.
Right. That's
So,
Exactly. Right.
That's
yeah.
and I think पता है इतना जब information overload हो जाता है ना कहीं पर, I think the people who will go forward will be the people who can sort through noise and find signal. So the
Right.
signal to
Right.
noise ratio, noise बढ़ता जा रहा है. So
Hmm.
so those people who are providing just signal, they'll become more and more valuable. So everybody
True.
will start following them, and everything else will go in the background. They'll
Right.
lose their value.
And talking about content, what kind of content do you guys like to watch? Maybe on Instagram or Netflix or any site.
Right, right, right.
Um, I would say, when we are just chilling together, at the end of the day, we would want to watch um some rom-coms. That's what we watch together. But
Right.
he really likes watching Succession and
Mm.
I personally watch a lot of content. I should
yeah.
not be watching, by the way, and anybody who is watching this show should not be watching this much content. But I personally get recommended like a variety of content, from Joe
Hmm.
Rogan Experience to like
Right.
Indian podcast
Hmm.
to a lot of on Reels and Shorts. There are a lot of accounts that just post a few snippets of a
Chunks
show.
from their
So I discover
entire
a lot
show,
of
right?
shows there. Yeah, and then I, as you show that, I start binge watching that show. So
Mm,
recently
right.
I've discovered a lot of new shows from
Mm.
there. Right, right, right. So I watch
So,
a lot of content.
any favorites?
Huh.
In terms of social media, you're saying like the content creators that we follow.
Content creator wise, or even shows or web series or movies wise, anything that you guys like.
Yeah, shows. So we love these American
Family,
sitcoms,
yeah.
like the
Modern
like the
Family.
Modern
Modern
Family, right?
Family. My God, I'm a fan
Yeah.
as well. I love it.
Yeah, The
And
Office.
Oh my God, that's
Mm.
like my jam at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
I think we watched it twice within a
Thrice,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the Schitt's Creek, there was this show with like few episodes,
You
a
guys
few
and
seasons.
we really match on the content level. I am telling you, I love
Exactly,
Schitt's Creek. I love it,
exactly.
honestly. These are also very
Uh,
different kind of storylines wale shows, not the
Right.
basic जो
right.
constant चलता
Regular.
रहता है.
राइट राइट तो पता है एक चीज ना, इन सारे शोज में क्या कॉमन है, वो दे शो वेरी रॉ, वेरी नॉर्मल, लाइक दे फील लाइक normal people talking
Normal.
to each other,
We
not
feel
like a
relatable towards the kind of content that we're watching.
exactly, and they're very funny. We've
Exactly.
been watching Little Sheldon these days.
Recently.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have not watched that one, but since our choices
You
match,
should.
I'm going to.
Yeah, sure, you should. That's a good one.
Even Modern Family pe na, even though it's an American sitcom, somehow the family that they show, the kind of bonding and the kind of ladaiya that they show amongst them, even in Indian families,
Very
I
silly.
feel that it is very relatable. It is
Very
how
relatable. That's
actually it goes around in the families in general.
That's true. Phil is a vibe. Like
Yeah, I
Phil
think,
is a
Phil is the
vibe, my
guy.
I
God,
think at the
yes.
end of every episode, when he comes back with a one-liner quote, we are like, oh, that's my
Right.
vibe.
Exactly.
Right.
Like in such a chaotic episode, they bring out some random, lesson from the whole thing, and it's like, wow, my mind is
And sometimes they just hit you. They're like, that's so
Yes.
true. That's so
Exactly.
true. Yeah.
Anyone, like I have a particular saying that is my favorite from One Family. Anyone that you guys really like, कोई एक ऐसे particular by chance याद हो तो.
कोट हमें कोई भी नहीं याद है क्योंकि वो हमेशा
Something
they are more of like you feel them. Like, yeah,
Right.
but
I
yeah,
remember
Shivan.
one with lemons and lemonade, if I'm not mistaken. If life
Right. I
gives
think that
you
was
lemonade, you make
Phil's
lemon out of it.
only, right?
Phil was saying you confuse their life.
Yes, something like
Right.
that. I don't exactly
Something
recall,
like
but I
that.
think I really like that. Yeah.
Life will be like, what?
Oh, what? Yes, that.
Right.
It
I
was so
really
silly,
like
yeah.
that one, that believers and realists one. If you guys remember that, believers always find realists and realists always find believers, and they sort of balance each other out. There was some lesson of this sort, and that really hit me. I was like, wow, that is so true.
Right.
Even in friends,
Right.
even in relationships, we actually tend to gravitate towards people of that sort.
That's true.
And coming
That's
back
very
to your content, so do you guys feel that you guys are like a treasure trove for all the UPSC aspirants out there?
yeah. So that's I think a lot of people. So on YouTube, it
Hmm.
gives you a back end where you can see what your audience is watching.
Right,
And
right.
we sometimes feel really proud to have like that type of audience, because
Hmm.
all of the things that they are watching, is always like a top tier content. So they're always
Right.
watching
True.
what's happening new in geopolitics, what's
Hmm.
happening in economy, what is
Hmm.
changing, and how the world is changing, right? So we are really grateful to have that kind of audience. And
Audience. True.
there are a few UPSC
Hmm.
preparation channels here and there in that. So we do have commonality with those sort of channels. But it's always great to have that side of intelligent audience, because what happens,
Hmm.
when you make a mistake, that
Hmm.
audience doesn't spare you.
Yeah.
They come
Right.
back to you and say,
ये
Hmm.
गलत है.
bro,
ये
at
गलत बोल रहे हो.
5:03 you said something like this,
Yeah.
and then they explain in like a big paragraph,
Right.
this was your
Right.
mistake. And
Hmm.
we're like, yes, we
कोई
want
editing
you.
में गलत हो गया, research
Hmm.
में गलत हो गया,
Right,
and then we go
Hmm.
back and check, because at the end of the day we are all accountable here,
right,
right?
right,
What we
True.
are spreading,
True.
what we are
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
So
And
the
plus,
kind of
that kind of
community
good
we
criticism is also important.
right.
100%, like the kind of community we have, it's not like कि मैं आ गया हूँ, अब मैं बता दूंगा तुम्हें सब कुछ और तुम घर चले जाओ. They're like, नहीं,
Right. Right.
हम भी बताएंगे. And then we also
Hmm.
learn by posting a video, we read up comments and we know, oh, we left probably this part of it.
Right.
This is
Hmm.
something that we can learn and improve.
Hmm.
And it
Right.
happens every single day.
Right.
And that's like that's what gives us a kick कि यार अगला वीडियो और तगड़ा बनाएंगे.
I think our
Exactly. अब
community
और भी
has
ज्यादा
started-
रिसर्च करके एकदम घुस के अगली चीज बनाएंगे ताकि कोई
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, like our community often says ki, we learn so much from you, but it's also at the end of the day, we learn so much from them every day.
True.
Right.
True.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
And one of, if you guys don't mind sharing, and this can be edited out also if you guys don't want, that's fine. One of
Mhm.
your recent videos got reported massively that you also shared on Instagram. Would you like to share a
Yes.
little about that?
So, see, these things on social media do happen, and we would really want to talk about it.
Mm.
So, what happens when you take a topic which is very sensitive, and the
Mhm.
topic that we took was language issue. So, I'll give you a brief explainer of
Right.
what that was. So, these days you'll listen a lot about few states where the person from other state goes there, and then
Mm.
normal people start saying, no, you have to speak in our language for the services you if you want to get them. Like if you want to
Right.
get an auto, if you want to book an Uber, you have to speak our language, right? And that we have noticed has started to happen quite a lot.
Right.
Now,
Right.
now why does that happen is probably because there is politics involved. So
Hmm.
we started reading up about it, and we started talking about कि यार states अपने कैसे form हुए, उसके पीछे language का क्या basis था.
Right.
Then all the language related politics in the past that has happened, like all the
Right.
protest from the southern state, from northern state,
Mhm.
it has been a very, very sensitive issue for a very
Right.
long time,
Right.
right? And for normal people, you can think about language as a tool, right? People converse in and use it as a tool.
Exactly.
But
Conversations happen because
Right.
of that.
right,
Yeah.
but in our country it's a very sensitive issue. People take language and mix that with their cultural pride, their regionality, and everything.
Right. Right.
So we get all that. So we covered
Hmm.
all of that in the video, and we explained why people are so sensitive.
Hmm.
But at the second half of the video, we also talked about why this thing does not make sense. You
Hmm.
can't be saying to other people that go back to your state or learn this
Right.
language, because
Right.
bro,
Right.
there are people who are doing their jobs 2 years there in one
Exactly.
state, 2 years there in
Exactly.
another state.
Yeah.
How do you expect them to learn five
Hmm.
different languages,
They
right?
cannot.
And
Right.
right, and if there's a third language available, people are able to use that as a tool and converse. Why do you want to make it like trouble
Like, we're
someone?
going against
Hmm.
the entire story of unity and diversity.
Hmm.
Like,
Right,
quite-
right,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what we covered, and probably it might. So that video opened as 1 out of 10. So on
Hmm.
YouTube, it gives you like how your last 10 videos.
Right. 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 Right.
It had higher number of comments than previous few videos, right?
Okay. Okay.
It had good like to
Hmm.
dislike ratio, but suddenly the reach was going like this and it plummeted. It became a straight line,
I think
and it happened very suddenly, like in
Yeah.
3-4 hours after the video.
I think within an hour we got around thousands of comments, which is very rare, especially in our
Right.
older videos where
Hmm.
1,000 comments would come after say a day or two.
Right.
So we
Right,
thought that
right.
this is really working, but then eventually we felt that this is a very
Hmm.
sensitive topic, and there might have been some kind of differences that could have
Right,
formed in other
right.
people's minds.
Honestly, it makes us sad, to be honest, because the kind of content we are trying to create, we don't want to divide anyone, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We're not saying you're bad, you're wrong.
Hmm.
We in that video also we said, I get why you're saying this.
Hmm.
I get why it's an emotional thing for you. Here is few reasons why you might be wrong, right? Try to
Hmm.
reconsider. If not,
Exactly.
fine. I get why you're saying this.
Hmm.
But it looked like it was mass reported, because see, in any topic that you speak, and especially in our type of channels, there are
Hmm.
always a lot of groups of people who
Hmm.
are always super sensitive about that topic.
Right.
So
Right.
whatever
Right.
you say starts getting reported.
Yeah.
You start
Hmm.
getting hate on social media. So
Hmm.
honestly, we have made peace with that. Like, this will
Hmm.
happen, but whenever it does happen, we try to speak up and let our community know about it, like something like this has
Right.
happened.
It is
So it's
important
good that we
actually.
could talk about that.
Right. It was a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
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 bold topic, I would say, to take up, because as we know, India ki history has had this whole thing about language, how states were divided on the basis of
Correct.
language, how there have been multiple protests over the years. So it's very bold to talk about it, and it's good that you guys actually put it out that okay, there was clearly some issue, probably a mass reporting, probably something different of sorts, but it's good that you guys talked about what happened beyond the video being published as well.
Right. Right. Right.
So, how do you guys, as content creators, as YouTubers, deal with hate on social media? Because it is a part and parcel of the whole thing.
That's true.
I think, during the initial days, we used to take these hate comments so seriously.
Hmm.
If we used to ignore those 10 nice comments and we used to ponder over that one hate comment that would be,
Right. Really put
totally
you off.
ruining our vibe, our day, and we've gotten very thick-skinned. And
Right.
also the fact that we sort of made peace with the fact that there are different kinds of people, because that's something that even we are trying to, promote here. That you have
Right.
to be
Right.
open to different perspectives. And we
Hmm.
can't, be so sensitive, because that will be like going against our own rational, our own morals, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think over time we have gotten very thick-skinned in sense that whenever we're reading the other of the story, like, okay, that person might have some, a thought process behind whatever he or she is typing. And
Hmm.
that's okay to have a different perspective, but we want to stick to what we believe in, right? And I think with time, it really does not matter, because we have 100 other comments which are really good for us,
Right.
and we
Right.
feel happy. And yeah, I think it makes sense.
And social media pe pata hai, what we see is the hate comment is like a rite of passage. You have to go
Right.
through them, right?
Right.
So if you start making content, you take everything so seriously. Everybody
Hmm.
is saying like anybody is saying any comment about
Hmm.
background of your video, you get sensitive. Oh, is it not
Right.
looking good? Then
Exactly.
when it happens, and few times,
Hmm.
and then you're like, okay, so this is how it goes.
Hmm.
And
हर
if
बारी
you
कुछ ना
tell
कुछ तो होना ही है.
the audience that
Hmm.
हाँ, एंड अगर आपने बताया कि ये हेट कमेंट से मेरे को इफेक्ट पड़ रहा है, फिर उसका नंबर 10x हो जाएगा, बिकॉज
Yeah.
एवरीबडी वांट्स टू गेट योर अटेंशन, योर रिएक्शन. तो अगर आप रिएक्शन
Right.
दे रहे हो तो
Right.
फिर एवरीबडी विल बी लाइक, यार इससे रिएक्शन मिलता है, अब तो ये कमेंट
Hmm.
जाएगा,
Like
राइट?
Indians को मसाला
Exactly.
चाहिए होता है,
राइट राइट राइट.
मसाला
वी ऑल
और
लव स्पाइसी
attention
फूड
बहुत
एंड
चाहिए
स्पाइसी.
Indians को.
always.
दोनों, राइट
That
राइट.
is
तो
why
हमें भी
those
मतलब हमारे भी,
comments
हम भी
pop
तो
up,
वही
no?
है.
I'm the first one to comment. I'm the first one. तो वो
Right.
attention के लिए ही होती है वो चीजें.
राइट 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 राइट. बट मतलब we have started making peace with it. So अब
It's very important. Otherwise तो otherwise कुछ कर ही नहीं पाओगे यार.
इतना ज्यादा तो
जैसे
इफेक्ट
अगर
नहीं
हम
करता.
सोच लें कि
Yeah.
बाहर रोड पे जाएंगे तो
नहीं कर
एक्सीडेंट हो
सकते,
गया,
नहीं कर
कोई
सकते
डेथ हो
आप.
गई, तो यू वोंट इवन वेंचर आउटसाइड ऑफ योर हाउस, राइट? वही वाली बात है कि ऐसे तो फिर कंटेंट बनाना ही बंद कर दो.
Exactly,
You
Right.
have to
exactly,
make peace with it at some
exactly,
level.
exactly. तो जब तक हम कंटेंट बना रहे होते हैं, तब तक वो कंटेंट हमारा है, हम उसमें सब कुछ डाल देते हैं अपना. वी
Yeah.
पुट एवरीथिंग कि हम एडिटिंग में क्या बेस्ट कर सकते हैं, रिसर्च में क्या बेस्ट कर सकते हैं, शूटिंग में क्या. एक बार डाल दिया, 1-2 घंटे, 4 घंटे, 5 घंटे थोड़ा रिएक्शन देख लिया, समझ लिया, फीडबैक ले लिया, देन इट्स ऑल योर्स. यू डू
Right.
व्हाटएवर यू वांट विद दिस. यू हेट इट, यू डिसलाइक इट, यू लाइक इट, यू शेयर इट, इट्स
आप
योर्स.
पे है ये.
नाउ इट्स नॉट आवर्स. सो हमने तो दे दिया है, अब ले
Right.
जाओ.
And at the end of the day, it's not nice to get attached
Right.
to social media in general. And you have a life beyond social media. So it's very
Correct.
important to, not let it seep into your personal lives.
True. True. Very
राइट. हमारा एक वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस तो चल ही रहा है, वर्क
हाँ.
और एक ये भी वर्क है. तो अगर हम दो
ये भी
वर्क
है.
में ही फंसे रहेंगे तो लाइफ तो बचेगी नहीं.
बचेगी ही
So
नहीं.
that
Very rightly said. Actually,
exactly.
very rightly said.
Right.
So it was so fun talking about your content. Now थोड़ा सा आप दोनों के ऊपर आ जाते हैं. If you guys don't mind me asking, how did you guys meet? You guys are so cute together.
अरे, thank you so much. So we actually met through friends, and we both were in almost in the same place. So we were trying to study, prepare for exams, etc. And we met through friends there. We
Right.
were friends for a long time, and we recently got married. Like last year, we got married.
So it was best friends to lovers wala, jo thing that has been going
Sort of.
around on Instagram these days.
Yes, 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 yes. That's true.
So kabhi wo issue nahi aaya like friend zone.
I think friend zone, I think we were both at peace with it. Like we were
Right,
happy
right,
being friends, but then I
right,
think,
right,
with COVID and everything,
Right.
we were all feeling lonely. We wanted to talk it out, and with, so many things happening here and
right,
there,
Right.
right.
we kind of realized that, we should, sort of, there's something more, and we wanted to materialize it eventually.
Right.
And
And actually, the decision of spending life with someone is
right.
like a big thing, right?
Right.
You can't take that decision out of like very quickly. So
Hmm.
we took some time. We
Hmm.
started to know each other. We started getting involved, like in content also. When you get involved in content, you start discussing, you start knowing what the other person, how other person sees the world, what's their
Right.
worldview, what's
Right.
their value system, what are their non-negotiables, and what are their, what all do they think about different aspect of life, world in general. And that gives you a lot of insight into what kind of person that
The other
is, right?
person is.
So we
Exactly.
started, the other person is, right? So we started getting involved in that. We started talking a lot about content, about life in general, about what we want to do. And in our career also, we were moving very quickly. So apart from the content, we were also moving up the ladder in corporate careers. And we started deciding, okay, so this is the genre we want to stick into in terms of corporate careers. And we built like a good experience there. We switched
Right.
a few companies. Now we are in good position. So everywhere we wanted to be secure and stable before we took the decision. And when we took it, and we were
Rest is
100% sure
history.
about it. So
Yeah, rest is
yeah.
That
totally.
is
I
so
think
sweet,
one
and
more
that's
thing that
so
I feel that
rational
we
also,
really
I would
bonded over.
say.
Yeah. So I was saying that, there's one more thing that I personally feel that we bonded over well was our love for writing. I think earlier on, both of us used to just write free verses and
Oh.
micro poems of sorts. And both of us had very different names on Instagram. And I
Right.
really used to like what he used to write. He really used
Mm.
to like what I used to write. And, just beyond infotainment and, jargon heavy stuff, those were the pieces of life in general that we felt that we can sort of talk about on a daily
Right.
basis, right?
Right, right,
And the depth of each other's soul was something that kind of came into the picture,
right.
and that is something that I really ended up liking in him, and I
Mm.
hope he did the same with me.
Right.
Is it
And
the
yeah,
same?
so our love for writing is something that
Here's the proof.
oh yes.
Proof. That is also really sweet. So basically, passion,
Right.
profession, सब match हो गया.
सब कुछ मैच हो गया, and then we were
सब
like,
कुछ
ये
match
तो
हो गया.
100% sure है.
And both are November born also.
Yeah.
Coincidences.
Wow,
We
that
feel
is
it's all about
amazing.
coincidence.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
I won't say it's a coincidence. It's fate. It's destiny.
Yeah.
Totally.
100%. Yes.
Okay, so let's play a small game. ठीक है? It'll be based entirely
Sure.
on the kind of content that you guys create, and you guys have to answer my
Sure.
questions on the basis of that.
Sure.
Okay, it's a rapid fire of sorts only, and so let's start.
Sure.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'll take
Done
you. I'll let you take the lead here.
No, whoever is fastest.
Okay, yes, whoever is
Okay.
faster. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which is one of the most shocking facts that you got to know while you were researching for a particular topic of or something of that sort?
So about the Northeast thing, you were saying something the other day, right? The literacy rate.
Yeah.
We're looking at the literacy rate
So
chart
yeah,
in the
so
country.
we actually wanted to know, हमें लगा था, maybe South India or maybe East India is more literate than other parts of India. But then, we were really surprised to know, I think Mizoram or Nagaland has a very good literacy rate in general, and also when it comes to women. Because, I remember that even I have visited Northeast quite a lot in my earlier days, and I always felt that women in general in the Northeast states are very liberated. They like to read, they like to study, and we were kind of taken aback कि चलो, Northeast part of India is a place where nobody talks about much, and
Right,
we feel that most people are not interested to know about the north side
right,
of India.
right, right.
People are more leaning towards northern side, Delhi,
Right.
Bombay, in general.
Right.
Mm.
So it's like a hidden gem in our country, which
Right.
does not get a lot of attention. But we were looking at like
It
these
definitely.
stats for the different states, and
Right.
we were like, wow, these states, and those states keep doing well in a lot of other things, like the cleanest
Right.
village, or the
Mm.
type of using living roots to form a bridge, or
Right.
a lot of
I've
other
read
things
about that.
also
Right.
in all the Seven Sisters now.
Yeah, I
Right, right.
think, and they base their education on practicality, is what
Mm.
we've realized. Not just, sort of related to books, it's also beyond that. And
Right.
I think that's
Right.
when magic happens at the end of the day.
Right, right.
Clearly it does. And it shows results.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is something that was really tough to dig up while you were researching. कोई एक ऐसी चीज जो मिल ही नहीं रही थी कहीं, and finally when you got it, it was like, okay, finally we found it.
Right, right. So most of the topics which are historical in nature, right? For instance, we are currently working on a topic which is about Bengal. So
Okay.
we took up Bihar. We talked about
Hmm.
Bihar in a video. Now we are writing a piece about Bengal, and therein we wanted to talk about the rise of Bengal, and then what is happening right now, like
Right.
economically and other things. So there used to be a time when Bengal, like Calcutta was the capital. Like Britishers also came there. That's why it's called East India Company. They came from
Right.
there. That was a very
Exactly.
prominent place, like for Nawabs also. And then if you look at it, from the poetry to filmmaking to science, like every legend that you like, a lot of legends you know have come from one state,
Come from
and that's something
Bengal.
magical, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were looking about the rise of Bengal, but surprisingly, there's not much literature available. Like even in books
Okay.
also, everybody talks about for the fall of Bengal, like
Hmm.
बाद में क्या हुआ after
Hmm.
Britishers left, वो division हो गया, वहां से capital move कर गई, communism और वो सारी चीजें, economy खराब हुई, industries बाहर गई. But वो सब rise कैसे हुआ, वो मिल ही नहीं रहा है. Like we are still
अच्छा.
struggling with that. We are still trying to figure it out. But
Right.
yeah, and in general, the data in our country is somewhat not very good, well managed. Like if you talk about US, everything is well documented. कुछ भी आपको बात करनी है, आप फैक्ट पे बात कर सकते हो.
Right.
इंडिया में आपको किसी भी स्टेट का कोई भी पर्टिकुलर डेटा चाहिए, you have to look at 10-15 गवर्नमेंट साइट्स, प्राइवेट साइट्स, एंड देन वो कहीं पे कोने में जाके एक पीडीएफ
एक
में
चीज
होगा, जो
मिल
कि आप
जाएगी.
एनालिसिस करने में भी दिक्कत आती है. बट
Right.
yeah.
That is actually very interesting, and actually something that I have myself have thought about, that singers, scientists, so many people, they come from Bengal, but ये चीज कभी नहीं सोची कि actually why is, like, what is the cause behind it. वो चीज कभी आई नहीं दिमाग में. So I am looking
We
forward to
have a
this
few
video for sure.
hypotheses. We have a few hypotheses. We are trying to build that, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for that video.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am on this as well.
Right, right.
Okay, something that you guys wish to explore. कोई एक ऐसी चीज, कोई एक ऐसा question that you've had in your mind for a while but कर नहीं पाए अब तक.
Right. We actually have discussed about it, like the Queens of India show.
Yeah, so we feel that, our history books are very one-sided, wherein we have glorified a lot of kings, the male gender in general, but we haven't really
Right.
spoken about a lot of historical queens in India who have done so much. They have sort of they broke all the stereotypes to actually come out and be the heroines that they have been for our
Right.
country. So it's been a struggle, to be honest. We sort of want to package it in maybe in the form of a audio show of sorts to kind of, but a lot of research and reading is required.
Right.
We're still
Right,
trying to
right.
figure out who are the right queens to be, put into the list.
History, in general, has not done a lot of justice, to be honest. Like to our
Yeah.
queens, to our kingdoms, like the dynasties like Chola dynasty,
Mm.
Ahom
Right.
dynasty. Like there have been a lot of dynasties that we don't hear much about.
Vijayanagara
Yeah,
dynasty.
and a few queens
We
we have
learn
talked
about
about in
very
our videos.
limited ones in our even in school syllabuses and beyond that also बहुत कम
Right.
का actually के बारे में
Right.
बात हुई है.
Right.
So we want to bring that out, and again the problem is we don't have much data because it's not been written quite a
Right.
lot. So we're digging up the books, we're digging up websites, shows, podcasts, whatever we can find, but we want to create something that is like everyone can refer to and say, okay, something finally has come out, and that
Right.
will be a great one.
Right.
So
I think
Yeah.
this will be
we
another
really want to
topic which will be tough to dig in on.
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So something that you guys tried to find out but अभी तक मिल ही नहीं पाया. अच्छा, I think the Bengal one sort of
Yeah.
encompasses this one as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And अब इस rapid fire को थोड़ा सा different side पे ले जाते हैं. Something that you guys would like to share with your audience. An embarrassing
Sure.
incident from your lives in general.
बहुत tough है.
सोच लो, कोई नहीं, no worries.
I still wonder. You
Can be
know,
from school, can be from
कुछ भी, कहीं से भी.
yes.
यार मैंने तो बचपन में ना I remember that holiday homework थे and we were given a date to submit the holiday homework on time. I did not. And the teacher kind of figured out. तो क्या हुआ था कि जो after the holiday homework एक और homework हमें करके देना था. And I remember I made the homework and everything. I submitted it and teacher आता है and she's like, you did not submit your holiday homework before, right? I was like, no ma'am, I did. Actually मैंने क्या किया था, मैंने टीचर का सिग्नेचर कॉपी कर दिया था. I kind of I was in class 4, so apologies. I'm not promoting that at all. But मैंने वो टीचर का साइन previous holiday homework के लिए कॉपी कर दिया था and the teacher kind of figured out and I think I beautifully had aced it. And मुझे लगा किसी भी हालत में teacher will not be able to figure out. जो the way I added the tick marks and everything was just on point with the same ink that she uses every day. And the teacher figured it out and she took me to the principal and my friends were like, oh, Namrata, what have you done? We'll not talk to you. As kids,
Right.
you know how people are. They stopped talking to
How
me.
kids behave, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and I was put in the corner for like a week's time, and then our mothers, they spoke like she's a kid, and then now those friends are my best friends. So thanks to them. So this is I think as a
Right.
kid this was really embarrassing, and
I think that would be
think now
embarrassing
I've
for
embraced
every
this
kid.
part
Like,
of me.
like being
Yeah.
sent to the corner for a week. That would
Right.
be
Right.
okay. And one last one, something that your audience doesn't know about you and you would like to share with them.
I think it's your name.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
I
do an
think-
exclusive reveal.
I think we'll take some time, but that is something that our
Yeah.
audience has been following up कि
Yeah,
भैया नाम
yeah.
क्या बता दो.
Right,
Open letter तो भैया तो नहीं बोल सकते ना आपको. So, but
So our audience in general, I think, knows very little about us, and that's
Hmm.
a very conscious thing from our end also,
Right,
because
right.
हमें लगता नहीं है we are so special, right? Everybody is special in their own way. We want to give them our work. We want to work hardest on the videos, the topics that we
Right.
want to talk about, and we want to put that on the center. So we don't want to take the limelight. We want those topics to be the center of attention and the center of discussion as well. So that's
That is
why,
great.
like, consciously we haven't talked a lot about ourselves. Like, what do we do? We have a job, we have everything else,
Right.
but we really very barely talk about all that. But I think slowly audience comments are also increasing. नहीं भाई बात करते हैं.
बताओ,
What do
कौन
we
हो, क्या
do?
हो,
What are
बताओ
you?
हमें.
Right? Q&A करते हैं.
Right.
So maybe in future, if audience says, we can do a Q&A, and then we can talk detail about, like, know what audience wants to know, and maybe take a few
unfiltered
questions.
conversation
Yeah.
with
Right.
our audience.
Looking forward to that for sure as one of your followers as well.
Yeah. Sorry.
Aw.
Thank you so much.
That means a lot.
Yes.
Thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today, talking about such important things that we did, and as you guys do on a daily basis as well, for all your audience.
Right.
So thank you so much, and it
Right.
was really great talking to the two of you.
Same here, Niharika. Like really, really grateful for you to invite us and have this conversation. Really, really enjoyed it.
And thank you for giving us your time.
Right.
And it was really, really enriching. It's both
Thank you.
ways.
Right.
And we really
Right.
look forward that we'll
Right,
have
right.
this conversation once again in the
Again,
Yeah,
future.
for sure, and hopefully next time in the studio.
Yeah,
Done.
100%.
Done. All
That's
in.
true. Okay.
Sorted. Thank you so
Okay.
much,
Okay,
guys.
Ji.
Thanks a lot. Keep
Thank
listening to
you.
Thank you,
Bollywood
Niharika.
Binge
Thank
and
Take
you.
care.
Beyond on ABP Live podcast.